Hi everybody. I want to do a video today on this bright, beautiful day. In Canada, we don't get a lot of days like this, so one of the benefits of having a full-time Scentsy business is the ability to dictate where your office is. Mine's outside today. But I want to do a video as a result of a question that came up from one of our directors, Kate Heath, and her team, Simplicious Delight. And I wanted to do the video in a way that I can both help that team, but also share the ideas with everyone else. Now, a question came up about, focus, long-term success, kind of what are the factors that are really involved in those? And those are some things that we have lots of input on. We've been in the business 6 years now. We have a group size over 4,100, so we have really dealt with pretty much every situation, every type of consultant. We've seen the full spectrum of things that really could play out in a direct sales context. And with that experience comes some wisdom. And really what we hope to do, not just in this video, but in any video or any training, any webinar, any blog post that we ever share, is really impart that wisdom so that you can kind of fast track. See, a lot of these things that I teach and that Megan teaches are things that we kind of had to learn through trial and error, learning through failure, if you will, and then seeing the results that we got and then adapting our actions to get results that we actually want. And having been through that in 6 years of repeating this over and over and over and working with so many consultants at this point, we actually have a lot of wisdom that we can share. So what I want to talk about just briefly today is a concept that both Megan and I believe in, we share. And I'm just going to frame it in a way that to be successful in this business long term, there's 3 really important factors. I'm going to call them, just for sake of simplicity of remembering them, I'm going to call them 3 C's to success in Scentsy. Okay? So the first C, clarity of purpose. We see that in working with, at this point, thousands of consultants, the consultants who tend to have the best results long term are the ones who actually know what they want out of this business. And they're able to distill that to a very specific purpose. And we say all the time, there isn't one correct purpose. We don't believe that everyone should strive necessarily to SSD or to a full-time income. If that doesn't work for you, that's okay. And no one is here to kind of impose their ideas about what you should want for your business on you. That's something that you've got to come up with yourself. But if you don't come up with any purpose at all, and if that purpose isn't really burning inside of you and resonates with you personally, that's what we could call our why, right? Then a lot of times consultants just kind of flounder. Many consultants, when they start in this business, their immediate question that they have is, how do I do this? How do I get successful? They're looking at the mechanics of what they need to do without really understanding where they even want to go. Because where you want to go dictates what you do. If all you want is a business that gives a nice little part-time income, and there's nothing wrong with that. Embrace that if that's what you want. But there's a completely different roadmap to take to get that than if what you want is to become a superstar director or is to have a full-time business. There's a very different roadmap. It involves very different activities. And the amount of activities that are required to hit superstar director path versus a different goal vary. And so the very first thing that I would encourage everyone to do is to just sit down and write it down. What do you want? Let's be specific. How much money do you want to make in this business? What do you want this business to be for you? And again, remember, there's no right or wrong answer to this. It just has to resonate with you. It has to make you come alive. And if what you have written down, if you haven't written anything down, write it down. But if what you have written down doesn't, you don't look at that and you just go, oh, I want that so bad, then you haven't hit something that really resonates. You need to clarify that, because that desire that comes is really what's going to push you through the hard times in this business. And anyone who says there's not hard times, frankly, is lying. Okay? We've been in this business long enough to know that there is hard times. It's no different than any pursuit. It's no different than building a normal brick and mortar business. It's no different than going to university. It's no different than any pursuit. There are tough times. And so if you have a clarity, certainty of what you want, then you're able to navigate those hard times. Okay, so that's C number 1, clarity of purpose. C number 2. Now this one, I would argue, might be the most important in terms of achieving long term. And that is certainty of belief. So you have clarity of purpose, certainty of belief. We will often say what you believe about your ability is actually going to happen. And at this point, it's kind of math for us, because we've seen so many different references, so many different consultants' experience, that I can kind of tell right off the bat, does this consultant actually believe that they can achieve their goal? Because the ones who believe end up doing it. And the ones who don't end up just over time kind of fizzling out. It's one of the first factors that I look at and Megan looks at when we're looking at new consultants, and when new consultants come to us and say, this is what I want. You know, I'm not saying I judge you, but I do look at it, and the question comes up, does she believe that she can actually do that? Or does he believe that this is even possible? What's happening inside their head? Do they have stories that say, here's a good story, you only become superstar director if you got in at the beginning? That's completely false. Okay? There have been superstar directors promoted out from TWW throughout the years, and there's going to be several this year who didn't start at the beginning, who only started several years ago. But if you've got that belief stuck in your head, then that's going to direct what you do. It's going to direct your entire business. You have a self-limiting belief before you've really even started. So you've got to get that belief. If you say, I want to make a full-time income, do you really believe that you can get that? Because you can, but it's up to you to believe it. When we started, and I've told this story, I don't know how many times, but it's a real story. 2010, we got our first Scentsy incentive trip. It was on the big island of Hawaii. We got really vibed up. We were really gelling with all these American superstar directors. And we said, you know what, we're gonna do this. We're gonna make this happen. At the time, I was working in a job that I didn't want, and Megan and I sat on a beach, literally with a pen and a paper, and wrote down, said, this is what we are going to do. And we saw it, and we believed it. And we set out exactly the amount of income we were going to make. And we far surpassed that. But it all started with that certainty of belief. Actually believing. Seeing those Americans and saying, they're no different than us. We can do this. And the consultants that I see right now that are going to hit Superstar Director this year have that. There are multiple Canadian and Australian directors who this year are going to hit Superstar Director, and I've had interactions with lots of them, and they did not start at the beginning, but what they have is they believe. So figure out a way to believe. Visualization helps. Talking to people who you can see are living it and say, hey, they're not that different from me. If they can do it, I can do it. That helps, but you got to get that belief. That's point 2. So clarity of purpose, point 1. Certainty of belief, point 2. The last one, critical point. Consistency of focus. As far as we're aware, and we know pretty much every superstar director in this company, we are not aware of a single one that is doing multiple direct sales companies. So forgive me if I'm blunt, but when I see consultants who are dabbling in this and have this direct sales company and this direct sales company, and a new one comes around, we're going to grab onto that one too, and oh, here's a new idea, I'm going to grab that one too, but I'm going to keep Scentsy because who knows what's going to happen. You're giving, like, think about this. You only have a finite amount of energy and time in a day. And if you are trying to push 6 things along a tiny little bit at a time versus taking one and just focusing, directing all your energy and attention and focus on the one, you're going to get far better results. But not only that, here's a factor that people don't even think about. There's an inner mechanic internally. When you get results, it makes you feel good. When you get that incentive trip, when you get recognized with maybe an annual sales award or something like that, shooting star, it makes you feel good. When you feel good, you are more motivated. So there's this kind of internal engine that keeps being fed perpetually by your own achievement. And when you're doing a whole bunch of direct sales companies, you never really feed that engine because you don't get the success and the recognition that you want in the one. And so it's easy to get discouraged when all you need to do to start this engine of constant motivation is to just focus. And another part of focusing is you got to run your business. If your goal, what you do has to be aligned with what you want. And if you want long-term success, which is achievable, if you want to make a full-time income, if you want to be a superstar director, if you want to quit your job and do this full-time, your actions have to be congruent and consistent with that goal. And so you can't run your business one day and then not do anything for 3 weeks and then do 6 days in a row and then not do anything and take the summer off. And you can do that and I'm not saying there's anything wrong with that, but what I'm saying is you got to be honest with yourself. And if your goal is to have a full-time income, then you've got to put in a full-time effort. At the beginning, at least, you have to. There's no way around that. And so if you're not willing to put in a full-time effort, then you need to accept that the full-time income isn't going to come to you. The best thing that we can do for you as your superstar directors is to just be honest, to call it as it is, to not try to paint a distorted picture because that's not fair to anybody. So honesty is a consultant starting right now can absolutely hit superstar director, can absolutely have a full-time income, and we are seeing it with other consultants right now. But you've got to know what you want, clarity of purpose. You've got to actually believe that it's possible for you, certainty of belief. And you've got to focus. You've got to consistently focus. And if you do that, really anything's the limit. Sky's the limit for you in this business. So I leave that with you. Have a wonderful day. Hopefully it's nice and sunny and you can get outside. I know it's winter for you Aussies, but it's wonderful here. Okay. And I'll see a lot of you at family reunion soon. Take care. Bye.